You guys, I gotta tell you this. When I'm trying to hear and it feels like somebody's fist is pushed into my ear, it's really very difficult. I know you mean well, but it's...
It's 12:30 in the morning, June 25th, 2009. Michael Jackson is being driven home from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. According to people who saw him that night, he left the building with a huge smile on his face. He had just finished rehearsing. He had danced. He had sung. He had shown everyone in that building that he still had it. He waved at the small crowd of fans outside, got in the car, and disappeared into the LA night. 5 hours later, he was dead. And what happened inside that bedroom, between the moment he walked through the front door and the moment his heart stopped beating, is one of the most disturbing, heartbreaking, and infuriating sequences of events in music history. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not speculation. This is what the witnesses said, what the phone records showed, what prosecutors proved in a court of law, and it will change the way you think about Michael Jackson forever. Before we go inside that bedroom, you need to understand the state Michael Jackson was in during those final weeks. He was 50 years old, thin, exhausted. The This Is It tour, 50 shows at the O2 Arena in London, was 3 weeks away. He wanted this comeback more than anything. This was supposed to be his redemption, his proof to the world that everything they said about him, the trials, the tabloids, the mocking headlines, none of it could kill what he had. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart.
You guys, I gotta tell you this. When I'm trying to hear and it feels like somebody's fist is pushed into my ear, it's really very difficult. I know you mean well, but I'm trying to adjust to the inner ears, okay? With the love, L-O-V-E.
Michael?
It's not easy though.
Michael, one more time, I couldn't hear you, sir.
The inner ears are very difficult for me when you're raised to use just your real own, oratory ears.
Yeah. Is it
Now it feels like somebody's their fist is shoved into your ear.
Okay.
I'm trying to hear and I can't. So I'm adjusting to the situation.
Right. Michael, is there anything they can give you now in your ears to make it better in terms of volume or mix?
Just if we could just bring it down a little bit.
Bring it down a little bit, please. Anything else, Michael? You want to hear more of anything? You want to hear more voice? You want to hear more?
Michael Jackson had not slept properly in months, maybe years. He suffered from severe chronic insomnia, the kind that doesn't just keep you up at night. It hollows you out from the inside. It makes your body stop working right. It makes your mind start playing tricks on you. And the man he had hired to help him sleep, Dr. Conrad Murray, had found a solution. Not melatonin, not therapy, not a proper sleep clinic. Propofol, a surgical anesthetic, the kind hospitals use when they're about to cut you open. Murray had been giving it to him 6 nights a week through an IV drip inside his bedroom. Michael called it milk because of the white color. He had been on it so long, gotten so dependent on it, that he had given it a nickname. And on the night of June 24th, after that last rehearsal, after those hugs, after that huge smile, Michael Jackson came home and asked for it one more time.
Okay, so let's talk about Michael. Since we have you here, I want to hear about this person you call your friend. You said you knew him better than anyone towards the end of his life, than anyone, correct?
Yes.
Did he share secrets with you?
Of course. The most hidden treasure trove of his life is with me. But I have protected Michael up till now.
Up till now?
Of course. Of course. I've said nothing that has been inflammatory about my friend. I protected Michael. You see, when I had a meeting at the house with AEG officials, and they pointed to Michael, the guy who could not pay me for months after taking care of him. And they said that he could not pay for the popsicle his daughters were using, the toilet paper that they were using to wipe their private areas, that he was penniless. I was shocked. As it was that time when Michael came to me trembling and trying to get me away from the AG official, who was Randy Phillips. I was shocked out of state. I should have just picked my bags up and leave had I been looking for money, but it wasn't money. It was about the love of Michael. I have suffered a lot, there's no doubt about it, but I don't hate Michael. Michael did not do me wrong. He did not want this to happen to me.
Murray arrived at the Carrollwood Drive mansion and began what had become their nightly routine. Michael couldn't sleep. He was wired from rehearsal. His mind wouldn't stop. So Murray started with the lighter drugs first. At 1:30 a.m., he gave Michael 10 milligrams of Valium. Nothing. At 2 a.m., 2 milligrams of lorazepam through an IV. Lorazepam is a powerful anti-anxiety medication. In most people, it would knock them flat within minutes. Michael was still awake. At 3 a.m., 2 milligrams of midazolam, another heavy sedative. Still nothing. At 5 a.m., Murray tried again. More lorazepam. Still awake. At 7:30 a.m., more midazolam. By now, the sun had risen. Michael Jackson had been lying in that bed for 6 hours, his body flooded with enough sedatives to knock out 3 normal people, and he still could not sleep. Murray later told detectives what those hours were like. He rubbed Michael's feet, he put lotion on his back, he turned the music down low and told him to meditate. Read that again. The king of pop, the man who performed for hundreds of thousands of people, lying in a darkened bedroom while his doctor rubbed his feet and told him to meditate at 6 in the morning. There is something so deeply sad about that image. A man so broken by insomnia, so depleted by everything life had put him through, that this was what his nights looked like.
Michael Jackson's doctor today, the Los Angeles jury, was played a tape of the singer slurring his words. It was shown a photograph of his dead body, and it was told it contained enough anesthetic for a major operation. Dr. Conrad Murray is accused of killing Jackson by giving him too many sedatives. From the United States, Robert Moore reports.
Michael Jackson's family arrived at court, braced for one last great legal battle. This time it is not about the entertainer's conduct in life, but the circumstances of his death. In the dock is Conrad Murray, Jackson's personal doctor, charged with involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors say Murray knew that Jackson had taken a devastating cocktail of drugs.
He left this vulnerable man filled with Valium and midazolam and lorazepam and propofol with no medical monitoring equipment, no necessary resuscitative equipment. He left him there, abandoned him to fend for himself.
Here's where things take a turn that should make your stomach drop. While Michael Jackson lay in that bed, hooked to an IV, unconscious or barely conscious, having been given enough sedatives to tranquilize a horse, Conrad Murray was on his phone, not calling for backup, not consulting with another doctor, calling his girlfriends. Phone records presented at Murray's trial showed that in the hours leading up to Michael's death, Murray placed 5 calls, received 6 others, and sent numerous texts and emails. Let that sink in. He was administering propofol, a drug that requires constant monitoring of a patient's breathing, oxygen levels, and heart rate, and he was texting women he'd met at night. 5 a.m. Murray sent a text message to a woman named Michelle Bella. She had met him at a Las Vegas social club. At 11:26 a.m., a woman named Bridget Morgan called him, and then, the most chilling phone call of all. At 11:51 a.m., Murray called a cocktail waitress named Shade Anding, who he had met at a Houston steakhouse. They began talking. 5 or 6 minutes into the conversation, Murray stopped responding. Shade Anding later testified in court. "I said, 'Hello? Hello? Are you there?' She heard noises, coughing, mumbling, movement, like the phone had been dropped into a pocket. She stayed on the line, waiting, confused. Murray never came back to the phone, because at that exact moment, Conrad Murray had walked back into Michael Jackson's bedroom and found him not breathing. The king of pop had flatlined while his doctor was on the phone with a woman he'd met at a steakhouse. Let's go back slightly to 10:40 in the morning, because that's when the real decision was made. The one that ended everything. Murray had tried everything: Valium, lorazepam, midazolam, and Michael was still awake after 9 hours. He was begging for propofol, his milk, the only thing that worked. Murray later said he had been trying to wean Michael off the drug. That night, he told Michael no. He tried everything else first, but Michael kept asking. And at 10:40 a.m., Murray gave in. He pushed 25 milligrams of propofol directly into Michael's 40-second line, mixed with lidocaine. 25 milligrams, in a home bedroom, with no heart monitor, no oxygen sensor, no crash cart, no emergency team on standby, just a doctor, and an IV line, and a man who finally drifted off. Murray later said that Michael fell asleep almost immediately, that he looked peaceful, that his body was warm and his color was good, and then Murray walked out of the room. That's it. He walked out, left a patient who had just been given surgical anesthesia, alone, unmonitored, with no equipment to alert anyone if something went wrong. He went to make his phone calls, and at some point, while Murray was on the phone with Sade Anding, telling her about his day, Michael Jackson stopped breathing. At 12:05 p.m., Conrad Murray came running down the staircase of the mansion. He burst into the kitchen where Chef Kai Chase was preparing lunch for Michael's children. "Get security," he told her. "Get Prince. Send him upstairs." Chase would later say she had never seen Murray like that before. Frantic, panicked, like a man who knew exactly how bad things were. Security guard Alberto Alvarez arrived at the bedroom, and what he saw when he walked through that door stopped him cold. Michael Jackson was lying on his back in the bed, arms at his sides, palms facing up, eyes slightly open, mouth open, connected to an IV line, wearing a surgical cap, a urinary catheter attached to his body. Dr. Murray was leaning over him, performing one-handed chest compressions. One-handed. Every doctor and paramedic in the world knows you perform CPR on a flat, firm surface. You use both hands. You move the patient to the floor. Murray was doing it on a soft bed, with one hand. His other hand was holding his phone. Alvarez later testified that he was frozen at the sight. "Dr. Murray, what happened?" he asked. "He had a reaction," Murray said. "A bad reaction. And then, before calling 911, before calling paramedics, before doing anything to try to save Michael's life, Murray turned to Alvarez and told him to start collecting the medicine vials from the nightstand. He just grabbed a handful of bottles and instructed me to put them in a bag," Alvarez testified. Murray then handed him an IV bag, the one with the white milky substance at the bottom, and told him to put it in a second bag. Only after everything was bagged and hidden, only then did Murray tell Alvarez to call 911. Think about the sequence of that. The most famous man on the planet had just stopped breathing, and instead of calling for help, his doctor was cleaning up the evidence.
Just wanted to say, ever since I was born, and I just wanted to say I love him so much.
Before the 911 call was made, before the ambulance was coming, while Michael Jackson lay motionless on that bed, his daughter Paris walked into the room. She was 11 years old. She saw her father lying there, eyes open, not moving, not responding, and she screamed, "Daddy!" She started to cry, reaching for him. Murray turned to Alvarez. "Get them out. Don't let them see him like this." Alvarez, this security guard who was in the middle of a nightmare he hadn't signed up for, gently took Paris and her brother Prince by the hands. "Children, don't worry," he told them. "We'll take care of this." And he led them out of the room. When Alvarez told this story in court, his voice broke. This big, burly security guard started to choke up on the witness stand. Because some things you just cannot unsee. An 11-year-old girl screaming for her father, being led away from his body. That is the image that stays with you long after this video ends.
Fire Paramedic 33, what is your address of emergency?
Yes, sir. I need an ambulance as soon as possible, sir.
Okay, sir. What's your address?
Los Angeles, California, 90077.
You said Carrollwood?
Carrollwood Drive, yes.
Yes. Okay, sir. What's the phone number you're calling from? Okay, sir. And what's the problem? Exactly what happened?
Sir, we have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing yet. He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's not. He's not breathing, sir.
Okay. How old is he?
He's 50 years old, sir.
50. Okay. He's unconscious. He's not breathing.
Yes, he's not breathing, sir.
Okay, and he's not conscious either.
He's not conscious, sir.
Okay. All right. Do you have him? Is he on the floor? Where's he at right now?
He's on the bed, sir. He's on the bed.
Okay, let's get him on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, let's get him down to the floor. I'm gonna help you with CPR right now. Okay.
We need him. Yes, we're
already on our way there. We're on our way. I'm gonna do as much as I can to help you over the phone. We're already on our way. Did anybody see him?
Yes, we have a personal doctor here with him, sir.
Oh, you have a doctor there?
Yes, but he's not responding to anything. No, he's not responding to CPR or anything, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, we're on our way there. If your guys are doing CPR and you're instructed by a doctor, he has a higher authority than me, and he's there on scene.
Okay.
Did anybody witness what happened?
No, just the doctor, sir. The doctor's been the only one here.
Okay, so the doctor see what happened?
Doctor, did you see what happened, sir? Sir, you just, if you can please.
We're on our way. We're on our way. I'm just passing these questions on to my paramedics while they're on the way there, sir.
Thank you, sir. He's pumping his chest, but he's not responding to anything, sir. Please.
Okay. We're on our way. We'll less than a mile away. We'll be there shortly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Call us back if you need any help. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
At 12:21 p.m., 911 was finally called. Not by Murray, by Alvarez. The recording was played in court for the jury. The operator asks what's happening. Alvarez says there's a gentleman who's not breathing. He's been having CPR for the past half hour. The operator tells them to put Michael on the floor. Hard surface. Start compressions. Murray and Alvarez move him. When they shift the body, Alvarez notices the IV still in Michael's leg. It has to be removed. The operator stays on the line, talking them through CPR. But here's the brutal medical reality, and emergency room doctors confirmed this at trial. By the time that call was made, Michael Jackson had likely been without oxygen for a very long time. When paramedics arrived minutes later, they found a man who was already gone. They worked on him anyway, because Murray was telling them to, insisting. But the ER doctor at Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center later testified that in her medical opinion, Michael Jackson was dead before he ever left that bedroom. And here's the detail that cuts deepest. When Murray rode in the ambulance beside Michael's body, he called his girlfriend Nicole Alvarez. "I'm on the way to the hospital in an ambulance with Mr. Jackson," he told her. "Don't be alarmed." His patient was dying beside him, and he was managing his personal life. At 2:26 p.m. on June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson was officially pronounced dead. He was 50 years old. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled the death a homicide. Acute propofol intoxication combined with other sedatives administered through gross medical negligence. In 2011, Conrad Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to 4 years. He served less than 2. And here's what the official verdict never fully addressed. Murray had ordered 255 vials of propofol from a Las Vegas pharmacist in the 3 months before Michael's death. 255 vials, delivered to his girlfriend's apartment so Jackson's team wouldn't notice. He had been doing this to Michael 6 nights a week, not for one night, not for a week, for months. And not one person in that enormous machine surrounding Michael Jackson, not the tour promoters, not the executives, not the managers, stepped in and said stop. Michael himself had reportedly reached out to a nurse named Sherilyn Lee weeks before his death, begging her for propofol. She refused. She told him it was dangerous. She warned him. He called her back, frantic, saying one side of his body was hot and the other was cold and he couldn't sleep. She told him to go to a hospital. He didn't, because the show had to go on, because AEG had $400 million riding on those 50 concerts. Because somewhere along the way, Michael Jackson the person had been completely swallowed by Michael Jackson the product. 3 weeks, that's all the time that was left between Michael Jackson and the stage he had dreamed of standing on. 3 weeks between him and 50 sold-out shows, between him and the world finally seeing him the way he saw himself. Not as a freak, not as a defendant, not as a punchline, but as the greatest entertainer who ever lived. He almost made it. And here is the thing that I keep coming back to, the thing that I think is the saddest part of all of this. In the hours before he died, he danced, he rehearsed, he hugged his dancers, he waved at his fans, he had that huge smile. He went home, he asked for help sleeping, he trusted the man whose entire job was to keep him safe, and that man walked out of the room. Michael Jackson did not die on a stage. He did not die surrounded by millions of fans who loved him. He died alone in a darkened bedroom, in a rented house, in a city that had chewed him up and spat him out 100 times over, with an IV in his arm, and his children down the hall. The last song he ever rehearsed was Earth Song. The last night of his life, he sang about loss, about things being taken too soon, about asking the world why it let beautiful things die. He sang it like he meant it. He always did. Rest easy, Michael. You deserve so much better than what this world gave you.